Good morning. My name is James Crockett. I'm going to show you today a recursive directory scanner I made using TypeScript. Um, Super excited to show this. It's probably one of the most advanced. It took me a while. Um, and I'm really excited to show how it works. Excuse me. Oof. So I'm going to start. Actually, I'm just going to start by showing the program here. So we're going to compile it, and then we're going to run. Info. Okay, so it says, welcome to the recursive directory scanner, enter a directory to scan. So it should look a little bit different if you're on Windows, but it should still work. But I do slash user slash James. Let's go to my documents folder, and we're going to scan everything in the GitHub folder as an example, right? So what this does kind of looks like it just spit out a bunch of text, which it did, but it's doing something interesting here where it's basically going to go through every file. And for some reason, this has a limit. So this started earlier and it kind of caps it. But basically, it's going to go through the directory and every time, and it's going to scan the contents, list the contents, all the files within. Every time it reaches another folder, as you can see here, this is one of the previous repositories that I made. It's then going to indent to list the files within that folder, right? And so you're going to see here, there's this file, and then once it comes across another folder, it's then going to go within there, list the files. They're kind of in a tree-like fashion. And so this is just going to show the structure, the hierarchy within just within your your Finder. And so you can see kind of how that works. And I'll show you. Sometimes there's multiple folders in a row, and so it just continues to indent. Um, Anyways, and so at the end here, it shows a summary of the different statistics in the directory given. How many files did it come across? How many folders? Access denied, for example. Um, terminal can't access your trash, your user trash bin on the computer unless you give it access. So that's one example. But all within GitHub, it's specific enough to where it wasn't coming across anything. And so it's going to ask if you'd like to scan another one. You can put yes. And if not, you'd put no, right? So just to show you how this works, I used TypeScript and I used um, classes to program this. I'm trying to get rid of this. I'm not sure how. Anyways, so I used read directory, stat, and join, which basically read directory lets me open the directory and list its contents. Stat helps me read if it's a file or a folder, and join will then add it to the end of the path so it can be re-scanned. And so I'll show you how that works. So there's the scanner class here, which takes the root directory. This is just user input. Where is it going to start? And then it's also used as it comes across another file or another folder, it's going to create another scanner and kind of repeat the process, except using that file path to start this next time. So you'll kind of see how that works. This, right, file folder count. Um, Basically, I have this scan method, and the way it works is at the end, right, of each time it goes through it, it's going to return the amount of files, folders, and the times it was denied, where there was no permission, if that was the case. And it's then going to basically keep a continuous count just for statistics, right? And so the way this works is there's a parameter. The space is going to start at 0, and what that means is it's going to start completely on the left side. And then as it goes in further, it adds additional spaces if it goes layers deeper down in there. And so really it's not too crazy how this works. Um, but it's going to start with it's going to get the files. And you have to use a wait in JavaScript because basically it's going to run right through the file. And if it takes time to do it, it's simply going to ignore it and it will come back to it. And so the wait here allows it to just wait for it to finish before it moves on, which seems like it should normally do that, but not the case in this language. So it's going to read the files. For every file, it's going to find the characteristic, which means find out if it's a directory or if it's a file. If it's a directory, well, let's keep track of that. It's going to add another space, or here, this is going to add a slash at the end, and then it's going to add a space, right? Creating a new scanner. We called it sub scanner, so it's one layer deep. And then it's going to go and scan using that new folder. So this is kind of where the recursive comes in, where it's going to go back up here to scan, make a new scanner. This time, instead of starting at the James folder, it's going to start at the James documents and GitHub, and it's going to get kind of just cycle through and get deeper and deeper. If it's not, right, let's just display that as a file. So like here, if not, exclude was in another folder, it's just a file within this info. So let's just display it, all right? Because we mostly do this just because we want to see it. And then there's a couple catches if there's no permission or if we can't open it, that kind of thing. And then finally, a method to display the stats. Now, this is run pretty basically in main, right? We import readline. Now, this allows us to take accept user input, and it's going to import scanner so that we can use the scanner class in our program, right? Create the interface. Hey, welcome, enter a directory to scan. Now this is going to get input. It's going to make a scanner. It's going to scan. It's going to display the stats. So it's going to create a new scanner using that input. So that's basically the starting directory back in here. This directory string. Now the important part, right? I'll show you how this works. Where can I find join? There it is. So basically what this does is for every file within this directory, it's going to join it to it. And basically what that does, it does it for all operating systems. If you're in James/documents, it's going to add whatever the new thing is that it came across to the end of that. So it's one long directory like that. Now, if that happens to be another folder, like in this if statements here, if it is a directory, it's going to get that entire file path, and that full path here is what it's going to put in the new scanner, right? So the new starting point then becomes that one deeper, right? And so you'll see that here, that it starts with wherever the user wants to start. And in my case, I started in the documents folder, and you never think there's so many files within a folder, but there is, and it's crazy. And then at the end here, right, I have it in a directory scan function within the main function, just so then if they would like to rerun it, if they want to do another one, they can, and it's just a reference there. If not, it's going to close and it's going to return. So pretty, I guess, complex compared to what I'm used to, which is okay. I don't know how I get rid of that. Oh well. But a good experience. Definitely required a lot of help. I restarted a few times. I had to look at a few examples just to get an idea of how it could work before I put it into my own code, but pretty happy with how it turned out. So if you have any questions or suggestions, let me know. But yeah, thank you very much.